I can honestly say that I've never doubted it from the moment that I believed it. I don't know why that, like, makes me want to cry.
In 1997, an obscure religious group became the center of a media spectacle when 39 of its members were discovered dead inside their California mansion.
Tonight with the strange suicide of the 39. It's very strange.
Now on our top story that's been developing out of Southern California.
We're not going to charge anyone with anything. And who would we charge?
The name of their group had been Heaven's Gate, and under the direction of a charismatic leader, they had taken their lives in preparation for the apocalypse. 25 years later, it remains the largest mass suicide in U.S. history, and one of the most puzzling cases of group uniformity.
We hope that you remember us as we were, and not how other people are going to try and tell you that we are. 39 to beam up. Thank you.
When the story first broke, it was covered by news outlets across the country. People were simultaneously shocked and fascinated by the images that emerged. Today, the story of Heaven's Gate continues to attract the interest of social scientists, documentary filmmakers, and of course, the morbid curiosity of the public.
Today's auction included items that belong to the 39 Heaven's Gate, actually, cult members.
Everything from VCRs.
You know what? These guys are kind of cheap.
To toolboxes.
Oh, this is what they built the ship with.
Perhaps it was unavoidable that much of this interest would come to center primarily on the details of the group's demise. Over time, the story of Heaven's Gate has come to resemble a frozen image, not unlike the homepage of the group's archaic website, or the cold, inert bodies around which so much attention has coalesced. It is easy to assume that the story of Heaven's Gate concluded with the deaths of these members. But if we suppose that any remaining faith in their teachings died along with them, we would be wrong.
So I think it is growing. It is more widespread.
For some people, the teachings of Heaven's Gate remain as relevant as ever. 25 years after the group's shocking final act, there are those for whom the spirit of Heaven's Gate is very much alive. In December 2022, I sat down to talk with two contemporary Heaven's Gate believers. I wanted to know what their experience had been. How had they come to believe in these teachings? How had they handled challenges to their beliefs? And how do they navigate through a society which associates their way of life primarily with death? Since starting this channel 2 years ago, I've spent a lot of time thinking about how other people structure and defend their ideas about the world. I'm especially fascinated by philosophies that fall outside of the norm, and by viewpoints which lie at the extremes. But at the end of the day, the thing that's driven every inquiry, analysis, and criticism that I've shared here is this drive to see the world through someone else's point of view. Because behind every belief system, from the familiar to the fringe, there are the believers themselves. And it's their stories that I'm really interested in.
These individuals spent 22 years preparing for what they did, and I wish people would examine that 22-year period instead of just examining their method of leaving.
Every time we talk about them and every time we share their message, we grow.
Most of us are searching for something. Some of us call it truth. Others call it God. And some call it Heaven's Gate.